Hello everybody, Chef Coco here. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to teach you how to make porchetta. Porchetta is just a stuffed roll pork loin. You can make it with also pork shoulder. Originally it was made with that, and porchetta was originally made with the spices that go in Italian sausage. They rub them on the outside. Butchers did it as a value-added product so folks could have something else to do with the pork shoulder. You see it usually got spices on it, and it's in a net and you bake it. But today I'm going to show you a different version made with a pork loin and fresh herbs. So stay tuned and let's get cooking. So the first thing we're going to do is start peeling our rosemary. And rosemary, this is from my rosemary patch, so it's relatively young rosemary and I can pick it pretty easily. Rosemary is like little pine trees. It has that flavor of fresh sort of pine flavor. And so my stems on my rosemary is not very big, so I can chop it up, but most rosemary comes in like almost like branches. And you would need to pick the leaves from the branches. And you can pretty much figure out how to strip it pretty easily. And then you would chop it. So I also have some sage here that I'm going to use as well. And some fresh basil. But we'll start, we'll roll it up and chiffonade the sage. You just want to place the leaves right on top of each other and roll them up, kind of like a cigar. And just line them up, fold them over as best you can, and then just start chopping as thin as you possibly can, moving your fingers as the knife moves. You want to move your fingers out of the way. So I'm going to chop it just a little bit more because I want this chopped instead of ribbons. So I'll put that along. These will be my spices that I'm going to put in the stuffed porchetta. So I'm just going to give the rosemary a rough chop. Because it's going to be inside the roll. And now I have some fresh basil leaves that I'm going to do the same thing with. Kind of put them in a pile. And then I just want to roll those up as well, as best you can. And then you want to cut those in ribbons, very thin ribbons. This is also a chiffonade cut. So next I have some more basil. Now this is a bigger leaf basil from a different plant, so I can fold that over actually and chop it. So here are my fresh herbs, all in a bowl, and they're ready to go. So now I'm going to take my pork loin and I'm going to start cutting it. I'm just trying to decide which end I'm going to start with. It's been cleaned, most of the fat on it, so I'm just going to start slicing it open. And just start cutting the way down. Because I want to get it as open as possible so I can flatten it out. So you can flip it over and then you just start splitting it You could just keep flipping it and putting knife cuts in it to open it up. You want to be careful and not open it up too far to get a hole, but if you have a hole, it's not a problem, because when you roll it up and it cooks, it's going to meld back together. So now I'm just splitting gently, and see, I'm going where the thicker pieces are and just cutting it to open it up. So that's basically what you want to do, is try to open it up to a flat piece is what you want to get to. Just take your time. Because once you roll it up, it's going to be one solid piece. So I'm just cutting slices in it, kind of flattening it out as I go, because the main idea is I want it to be flat. So just keep cutting. Then you want to take the pounder and pound it. And what this is doing is breaking down the membranes and flattening it out so it'll be easier to roll. So now I'm going to take my porchetta spices, which, remember, Italian spices, and it has some herbs in it too. And I want to rub it on the inside. Then I'm going to take my fennel seeds, because that's going to give it that nice licorice sweet flavor. And I'm also going to put some crushed red pepper flakes as well to add a little spice and color. Just once these things bake, the flavors will be sort of muted. Now I'm putting some fresh chopped garlic. You want to rub that in as best you can. And now I'm putting the fresh herbs on the inside. So this is evident. This is my filling, basically. Now you could put spinach in here. You could put fresh basil. You could put cheese. You could put lots of things in. But I'm just going to go for the traditional Italian porchetta seasonings. So there we have it rolled up. I'm taking whatever's fallen off the board and I'm kind of trying to massage it and put it back in so it will stick. And I'm going to take my string and put the string underneath. Get a long piece, more than you think you need. It takes practice to get the right amount of string, I will tell you that. So you put the string underneath and then tie a knot, I guess like a slip knot, at one end. And you'll want one of the strings longer than the other. You want one string to be like a tail, and then the other is going to be the one that you're going to wrap it with. So you just wrap it around, slip it through, pull it as you go, just wrap it around again, just keep going, slipping it through and giving it a tug, because that kind of keeps it straight and keeps it more even. And you can see exactly where you're at with it. Wrap it around, and you just continue doing this till you get to the end of the porchetta, and then just pull it tight, and then you're going to flip it over. And then in the back, or the bottom, you'll take, I'm taking the tail string here, but you could take either one. And you just want to loop it around the string. You could see where you just loop it under the string. and give it a tug. And now I'm coming from the other side with the other string. And if your string is too long at this point, you can cut it because you know about how long you need it, or you could cut it at the end. I always like to cut it at the end because I like to make sure I have enough string. So you see, I'm just looping it around. And now I'm going to tie these two together. And tie a knot. Pull it tight. And there you have it. It's all tied up, ready to roast. So you can just take your knife, cut the strings off. You can see how beautiful that is. Ready. And then I put more seasoning on the outside. Massage it in because this is the rub. Porketta is mainly just a rub. Both sides. Try not to waste any of that spice. So there it is. So now we're going to put it on a rack. I usually put it on a rack on a foil lined pan. If you're doing several of them, you could line them up in a rack pan, or you could put foil in it. So you want to weigh it before you bake it. You're going to bake it at 350. In the oven. I actually threw some potatoes in. You can throw potatoes in too to bake at the same time, because they usually take about the same amount of time. So you want to pull it out at 145, because I always say bake by time, by temperature, and not by time. And now here I'm pulling the string off. You want to carefully pull the string off. Cut it off with scissors. It'll pretty much stay together after it's baked. But you just want to be gentle and pulling it off.
One on the trash, one on the plate.
The string. And you want to discard the string. Make sure you get all of it. Check it really good, because nobody likes to eat string, right? So then you want to pull it, just slice it. You can see the slices now. Slices can come apart depending on how tight that it's cooked. But just put them back together and put them on the plate. And there you have it. Porketta. Delicious every time.